or just deterioration because you're tired or something. Okay, so I'm taking this into account. However, you're playing, you want to play that way. Okay, so all the mistakes you're making, they are intentional. Okay, so calm structure first. So McCoy, I asked you to decide on that yesterday, whether you want to or whether you feel like you need to be doing IGLing or not. Did you
Yeah.
decide on that?
Yeah.
So what's your
Uh,
answer?
I definitely I'll just let Pone do it.
Okay,
And just like hard, like just put all my faith and just
yeah,
I won't interrupt him. Just let him do it.
fair. I don't want you to be like absolutely quiet, even when you're not IGLing.
Hmm.
But for today, and I need you to note this down right now. Okay. Um, Write it down on like a notepad or something. And today, that's all you would focus on. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you to only call targets. Okay.
Okay.
Only targets. No movement. Give info that's absolutely critical,
Like
but
pull and
nothing
stuff.
more. No, no, no. Critical info, like a Reaper who's trying to like does blossom into you, or a Pharah who's trying to barrage you. Okay.
Okay.
Um, and so very high priority info. And I want you to like assist with plans after they're called. Okay, so after a plan is called, if you feel like we can do something, like we can improve the plan a little bit better, then you can suggest that. But you won't be calling where we're playing. You won't be calling where we're engaging. Okay, that's all points show.
Okay.
All right? Can you do that today?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Another thing I want you to work on is, I think I've asked you this before, but you don't call anything more than twice, and this goes for everyone. Okay,
Yeah.
nothing gets called more than twice, except for maybe target calls if they need to be. Okay. How is our comp structure set? Just a quick revision for everyone else. We have an IGL and an ult tracker. Okay, and then we have everyone else. Okay. What this means is, one, the IGL calls our plans essentially. Okay. First, we begin ult tracking. Sakura does ult tracking. Nobody interrupts Sakura when he's doing the ult tracking. Okay. Which suggests that, okay, maybe you called this ult. That's probably wrong. Or they have this extra ult, but nobody interrupts him. Okay. We only assist him. All right. So whenever we do ult tracking, zero other comps should be coming up unless they're like extremely important. Like they swapped from McCree to Reaper or something. Okay. Then we move on to the IGL. IGL would tell you which ults we want to use this fight. Okay, that's the first thing that comes out of you, Pwn. Then Pwn would start calling which way to push. So your pathing would be done by the IGL. Okay,
Hmm.
and then we can move on to targets, and targets can be called by Pwn or whoever thinks that a good target is available. Generally speaking, and this is very important, I don't think we've been doing this very well. How do you select targets? When you're playing with the Reinhardt, generally speaking, whatever's in range of your Reinhardt, that's even low-key vulnerable. For example, there's a Mei and there's a D.Va in range of your Reinhardt, right? You pick the D.Va because she has no ice block, all right? Unless Mei has no ice block, or is it's on cooldown. Okay, so whatever's close to your Reinhardt and is vulnerable enough, you call that as a target. Is
Okay.
everyone with me so far?
Yup.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so this is how we pick targets most of the time whenever we're running Reinhardt, which would be most of the time, and that target can be called until it's killed. One more thing I want you guys to add to the gameplay, note this down if you can. If, let's say, you call D.Va as a target and she uses boosters and she's out of range, there will be, generally speaking, some silence after that, and we feel like we're lost. Just call that, leave her. Okay, just make this call, like add this to your vocabulary. Leave her if she's not a decent target anymore. Okay, this way everyone stays on the same page. Okay, we don't have like some people chasing the D.Va while others are just backing up. Okay, so far so good. Hopefully, nothing too complex so far.
No.
Okay. Once the IGLing is done, our IGL tells which ults to use, right? But if you want to play your ultimate a certain way, like Dark wants to use this High Noon in a certain way, or Abstract wants to set up his Mei ult a certain way, you have the ability to call it. Okay, I'm looking for a Mei ult here. I'm looking for a Mei ult at the choke. Okay, so your team knows. Dark Horse would say, I'm looking for a High Noon this fight, or just saying like, I'm gonna High Noon from behind. Okay, so that people can actually peel for you and tanks can actually make that room for you or pull or whatever. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, so we call which ults, the IGL calls which ults we use. You, as a player, would call how you will use your ult. Okay, and be smart about this. Don't be dumb like, okay, I'm gonna use beat here. Right, like you don't need permission for using beat. I'm gonna use beat here is fine. But I'm using beat behind you, that means nothing, right? You're taking attention for nothing. Right? Same thing with don't say like for example, like any other like a diva bomb, for example, right? If you're planning to use diva bomb like later on in the fight to reset or something, don't call it out like asking for everyone's attention. Okay, just say that I'm diva bombing. Don't say that I'm diva bombing here, or I want you to understand that I'm diva bombing on point or away from them, like unless that's warranted. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's comp structure so far. Now, we have this comp to work on. This is what we've been playing. It's a very, very strong comp, to be honest. I didn't realize until I watched this one. It's really, really good. I do think Sakura, you can play Moira if you want, if you feel that's better.
Oh no, I was
Um,
just experimenting with BAP. That's all.
Okay, right, that's fine. Who's that? Okay,
Right.
all right. Now, okay, so about this comp, okay, so there are two matchups that we run into very, very often, or 2 to 3 matchups, okay, but like majority two. One is the dive comp, and the other is kind of like a mirror comp. So you really should get some coffee, man. I'm sorry, it's kind of distracting. But okay, so we'll see how to play this against the dive comp, and we'll see how to play this against kind of a brawl comp later on. Okay, same on like both on the same map. You guys remember this scrim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fresh, so you should be able to relate everything that we did. We're gonna run this comp today again, and hopefully we run into the same situations. Now, just looking at this matchup, can someone tell me like what are our advantages and what kind of play style we should have? Like, should we play like rushing into them? Should we play slow? Should we play like baity? What's the call?
We have our brawl comp, so we need to play fast and play our corners, and we can just sit point whenever point unlocks.
All right, that's a good train of thought. Now, the thing about this comp, why it's really, really strong, is you have the option. You have this big option that no other comps have, to either play like brawl or play like mid-range, looking for picks kind of stuff. Okay, so you have the options, right? So let's say if you see a target, let's say they don't have a diva shift, or more so their monkey doesn't have a shift, or their Batiste is a 1-1 point, right? You can run into them and play like brawl. Okay, because you have Mabel, you have Reinhardt, right? These two people are only effective in mid range most of the time. But let's say if you don't have any targets, which is what I'm trying to get at in this comp, like there are no targets that you can rush on. If they have their abilities up, there's nothing that you can rush on. You can't brawl onto anything, right? Everything can kite you. So that's when you decide to kind of bunker up and play mid range, right? So here, some options that you would have is either play high ground and set up like your shields for your McCree, probably wall off half their team. Let's say you see a Batiste on their high ground, wall him off and then focus on the Vara. something like that, you know. So you're only fighting 3 people at once, or 4 or 5 people at once, instead of like 6v6 from all angles. Okay. So in this matchup, you kind of want to play like that, unless you are playing for point control. Okay. Point control is you basically get to the point. You have 1 shield, 2 shield, 1 wall, right? At any given point, you have the ability to block 3 entrances at once and still have a defensive ability, right, for your entire team. So you can play point control. What that means is you stay on the point, and if anyone comes in to contest the point, you can stun them, you can pull them, you can wall them off, or you can boot them in and fuck them up basically.
I have a question. So
What's up?
for shielding on the point, should I be like in the corner and like huddle in the corner so that I can't get exposed, or should I play like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
As
that's a
Orisa,
very, very good question. That's a very good question. That becomes
because
a
I wasn't
problem in
sure.
this.
Yeah, like I
That's a
wasn't
very
sure
good
what.
question. I'm so glad that you're asking. The answer lies in what they're playing. Okay, so I'll give you some things. Okay, you play against a brawl, you play against dive, and you play against a spam call. Okay. Now give me answers for against a brawl. Where would you play? Would you huddle up in a corner? Would you play on the side?
You probably want to play like not in a corner, but like
Mhm.
more aggressive.
Yes. Okay, because you don't want them to like have the space, right? You want to like keep them off
Right.
of the point. What about dive?
Die, you could probably play somewhere in the middle.
Okay,
Maybe.
middle is fine.
Yeah.
Middle is fine. Middle is fine. You can also play at the side, like you did for the brawl. The reason why, um, I'll explain you the reason why. Because that's what we're playing against in this. And against spam, what do you want? Where do you want to play?
Probably like in the corner and use our shields.
Yeah, exactly. So you know exactly how to play. You just have to ask yourself the right questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So back to dive. Now, the reason why you want to play kind of at the edge of the point, let me see if I can take this further up so you can see better. This is later on in the fight. Right. So yeah, this is what we're doing. Can you see the silhouettes? Like,
Yeah.
can you see the outline of your character?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can tell that you're playing far back in the corner, right?
Yeah.
And only our Reinhardt is up here. Why is that a problem?
Because we're not utilizing like our comp properly, and it makes us
Right.
weaker.
Why? Like, how are we not utilizing it properly?
Because we're creating like more angles for the other team to spam from, as
That's
opposed to like
fair.
having.
It's easier for them to like split one off.
Yeah.
In this case, it's Reinhardt.
That's good too. Yeah. Notice they don't have meal, so they can't really split them. But look at your comp. Where's the damage coming from?
McCree.
Okay, McCree. Or somehow with the Mei as well. Mei right clicks are really, really good.
And BAP, to be honest.
Yeah, BAP too, 100%. If you play far in the back, do they have any angles?
No.
Nothing, right? Like if you play up here, they can shoot at literally everyone here, right?
Yeah.
If you play further back, they're just like forced to click on the things that come at the door. That's not good enough. Okay. If they do rush at you, like from the doors, then you can fall back and bunker up in the corner a little bit, right? So if they have high aggression, that's when you want to play corner, because then we are playing to punish with our pulls, with our Mavol, with our flashbang, right? Things that we talked about. But if they're just playing outside, trying to farm the barrage, or look up for like set up a barrage, right? That's when you want to kind of play for picks, or just fend them off so that they don't have like a decent attack on you.
So you could play like more in the middle right now, like
Yeah, middle
Is that
would
what
be
you're
good. I'd rather play at the edge. Like at this point, especially when the bubble is out. In this case, I'd rather
Yeah.
play at the edge.
Oh, okay. So like
Yes.
if you see, all right.
Because all you're doing is you're looking at your McCree. You have a McCree. You want to enable him. That's it.
Yeah.
As a tank, your job is to enable your DPS. That's basically how the game works.
So if I see like, the Winston use bubble, then like that's so we could be more dynamic about the way we go about it. Like if you see bubble or a shield broken, we can like move up a little bit
Yeah.
and start taking that advantage and then back
Mhm.
up and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, but I told you to play sides more than the corner, is because let's imagine they don't have a barrage. Okay, they don't have a barrage. Can they dive on you?
If we're
No.
flying in the door.
No, right? Like Winston can't dive on you. There's no room for him.
Yeah.
Like Winston would always be like walking into you, right? Which means it doesn't matter whether you play up here or up here, right? There's not going to be a dive executed on you. So why not just take this advantage that's given to you? Right? Like why play a passive angle, right? When your defenses are going to be the same, right? So that's kind of how I want you to look at, right? I want you to pay attention to your positioning, how many times you play corners and which corner you play. Okay. But that's how the matchup works. Okay, that's how your comp works. It's very, very dynamic. You can play close range, you can play long range. The difference between a Reaper and a McCree at close range is essentially nothing for the first 2 or 3 seconds. Okay. So let's say if you're not playing against this, you're playing against your mirror comp, right? And if there's a Reaper, and you have a McCree, it literally makes no difference for the first 2-3 seconds of your engagement, which is when you want to get a win condition out. It makes no fucking difference. You have the same amount of damage coming out. You have the same opportunities. It's when you start playing for longer, if the fight keeps going on longer, the Reaper would get more damage in at like melee range than your McCree because of how they work. Okay, so that's what you need to understand. Well, we'll discuss it more in the second part of this one. But back to this, we're just gonna like look at how you play this this map like a little bit. So do you see this frame that we're in? You guys are all in the gallery, right? And they're coming up. Okay. So far nothing is wrong. You took this pathing, like you came from the right side, so you couldn't tell what they had. We didn't know enough about the team either, so we couldn't predict that they're gonna run a dive. So this pathing is okay. You kind of took this for like you're thinking you're gonna run into a brawl comp. Every decision you make after this point is going to be on you. Every fault that we make is going to be on you. Okay. So pay attention to comms. Make sure this is unmuted, the one. Usually it is. Okay, there's a volume button down here where I'm pointing.
Yes.
Okay.
High ground?
Walk around.
So what's wrong so far? Pay attention to comms, right? So we call they have a Pharah. I'm just gonna answer this because there's not enough context. We didn't call they have a dive. So whoever noticed this, I'm assuming like Gloom, you could have noticed this because you're in the back usually. Whoever saw the monkey jumping here, nobody said that they have a dive. They have a Pharah dive. That's all you need to call, right? So that we can understand our matchup, like we discussed earlier, right? Dive, brawl, and then spam. And how we play against that is very, very different, like we discussed earlier, right? So you need to call one of those 3 at the very beginning. Now,
Point debuff? Okay, play against this wall,
okay, play against the wall. When do we play against the wall?
When they're playing high ground.
Okay. Every time they play high ground, do we play against the wall? What's the advantage you get by playing under? They don't have LOS on you, right? They can't do damage on you.
Yeah.
They have to peek all the way here, right?
They have to go to you to get damage.
Yeah.
Right. Does that matter here with the
That they're
tracer?
running.
No.
Well, I was thinking more of the Pharah spam. Like that was at least my call because I was building my cooldown for a shield. So should I like
Okay.
call that. That was my thought process. Like, should I
Okay.
make that evident, like waiting for shield?
Yeah, you kind of want to say that, and we'll
Okay.
talk about your shields a little bit more. But the idea is, if you play out here, you're not really safe from the Pharah because you can just go here, and this would be like a behind the lighthouse would be a really good positioning for her. Right? She
Mhm.
can just spam all she wants, and you won't have any problem. The reason why you don't want to play under, like alongside walls, under a dive comp, right? You do this against the spam comp, okay? Because if they're playing up here, you're basically cutting off all their LOS, right? But if it's a dive comp, you're just assisting them. Let's say if there's a monkey here, right, and they want to
Yeah.
dive on you, you won't have to press shift. Like, I don't know if you played the dive meta or not, but this is like I don't know, like this is heaven for a monkey. Okay, you walk right under me, I don't have to press shift. I can just drop on you and do all the damage that I need to, and use my like shield, and then have a shift to get out. Okay, so against the D.Va, against the Tracer, you definitely don't want to do that.
Okay.
D.Va doesn't have to use shift. Tracer won't have to use blink. They just drop down on you, do a shit ton of damage, and you're dead. Okay. Against dive, you play inside rooms. Like we said before, if you're playing on the point, they can't dive on you. Right? Same thing, if you play inside the gallery, they can't dive on you. If you literally just call, you can back off. Right? There's nothing wrong with bunkering in here. Like we said, how we play point, you can just literally play that way in this gallery. Hold these 3 exits. You know, make your McCree have decent angles and get picks if you can.
What would have been the best thing to do? Because in my just thinking, would it have been smart to go from here to into here and then wait a little bit, and then before the point opens, then go to point and just kind of huddle there?
Yes, 100%. Okay, that's exactly what you want to do. That's beautiful. The reason why this comp, the reason why like playing point is better and just staying inside is better, because this comp is designed to attack you when you're rotating. Okay, so the less options, like okay, I'll mark this. This is all red area where you don't want to stay long against this comp. What am I marking here?
Not safe zones.
Right, not safe zones. Everywhere they can dive, everywhere the monkey can jump on you, everywhere the D.Va can jump on you, right? So that's why like that kind of potting is really good. So you fall back in here, you speed boost, or maybe you know just walk into this. Or honestly, you could just fall back into here right now, play in here for a bit, and then speed boost out.
We could have even recognized that they had, like you said, like the dive, and we not even walked out where we are. Like we could have waited for the shield that I put down and just like sped right to point without hesitating, and then Dark Horse wouldn't have died here. He wouldn't have got split off.
Yeah, that's kind of luck based. It kind of matters whether your Lucio specifically is looking for what they're running or not. Generally speaking, on any map that you open up with, you kind of want to check what they have. If you don't know what they will run, if you don't expect anything, you kind of want to check what they have. You understand your matchup, and then you decide how to play the map. Okay, you generally don't want to run into the point or run into this, okay, unless there's like a strict meta that we only play Brawl here. Lighthouse never has a strict meta, by the way. Okay, so that's pretty much everything right now. There has been like 30 minutes that we've discussed over this. All the mistakes that we make later on are literally this. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over them, like a couple of them real quick. We need to go over them indeed. So we can't play against the wall here. Now we make a rotation to get into the point. Rotate. Okay. That is a terrible call because you're not telling the team where to rotate. Okay. Not only you're calling it multiple times, so you're just not letting anyone speak, but you're also not telling where to rotate. So your comms need to be processed. Okay. Think of it like as a main tank or as a shot caller. I know you're not IGL right now. The opponent would be making this call, but you are kind of like the driver of a bus, and your team is the passenger. Okay, you don't like you want to take the team in a direction, right? Like, okay, I don't know where I'm going with this analogy. We're just gonna forget this happened. But that's still true about the bus driver thing. Okay, you decide where your team moves. Okay, and right now you're kind of moving without the steering wheel. Okay, because your team doesn't know where we're going.
Point.
So rotation again, we're rotating from open. This is why your McCree dies, because this is literally the best scenario for their team. Okay, we're rotating from open. We have the largest window for killing things. So you're kind of giving away this fight. Next thing, we don't pick a counter swap after losing this fight. Now, McCoy, feel free to play Diva if you think that would be better against Pharah, because that's a valid comp as well. I don't think you
Yeah.
need to work. Not that this is a bad comp, you can still play it.
Yeah.
It's just like the way we play it will be different. Same thing with you, Sakura. Feel free to play Moira. Honestly, it doesn't make any difference what you play. Moira or Batiste. I do think Moira is stronger because Batiste can be shut down rather easily.
Yeah, I just wanted to see how the Baptiste felt, and against that, Moira is way better.
Yeah, you can do the experiment today as well, or as long as you want. I don't think it matters too much. Both are decent heroes. Okay, so now that we're playing point control, now that we know what we're doing, let's see what goes on. We're all on point. Like nobody loses, nobody dies. In this rotation, which is what happened next, like in the next fight. We're not gonna look at that. It's not necessary. But once we're on point, it's what happened. Like we hold this corner, right? And Dark Horse has 0 angles to or 0 things to look at. Like the only people who peek these doors are going to be the tanks, right? And Dark Horse damage isn't like burst damage enough that he can kill the tanks. So it's effectively useless playing in this corner, right? Next important thing is they have a fire barrage. McCoy calls this fire barrage, right? I guess you don't know that right now, but we call this, but nothing is done about it. Why do you think nothing is done about it? Because we're retarded. We don't want to listen to McCoy because we hate him.
They have too many.
No.
They have too many angles for the Pharah to come in.
You don't know who is supposed to take care of that. You can't have your Reinhardt looking at him, right? Reinhardt has to play this, right? Otherwise, their tanks just come in. And McCree can't just like walk back and like keep the fire off because he needs protection. Okay? Your Lucio can't do shit. Your Batiste can't do shit. Abstract doesn't know that he's the only one. If this was a different comp, if this was the Diva or something, in almost every other comp, it won't be Abstract's job to shut down the fire out. But in this one, it is. Okay, so Abstract, you need to know this. Okay, whenever we're running, like, it's not whenever we're running. In this situation, your wall is literally the only thing that saves us from barrage. Okay, that's something that's kind of difficult with this comp. So whenever you do run into a situation when there's a fire barrage coming, and let's say you're not playing point or you're out in the open, for example, right? You need to bunker the fuck down here. Okay, so you need to like place an Orisa shield, and your Reinhardt needs to put his shield up, and you will get exactly like half a second to kill the Pharah. Add another half second for immortality if you still have it.
My only worry is that if I wall off the fire barrage, that I'll end up trapping one of my teammates like on the wrong side of the wall. Is that like?
I mean, you just wall here, right? There's no way you can trap someone outside. We're not leaving the point.
Oh yeah. But like, if she's on the point doing it.
Well, yeah. In that case, then you can kind of wall under her, so it makes it easier. Generally speaking, if she barrages onto the point, like I said before, we bunker up, right? Really, like we put in Orisa shield and we Ryan shield above our heads, and then we look for the immortality and everything. So you really have to try really hard not to die against the barrage.
So
this comp is not very good fighting against it.
If they have barrage, like if we call it, that's when like we'd bunker up in the corner, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So it's more like you call they have barrage, and you prepare to bunker up. You don't immediately bunker up.
Yeah.
You bunker up when you see she's trying to use a barrage. Okay. So let's say you call a barrage, but the Farah is here, you don't need to bunker up because then your Reinhardt becomes useless. Right, but if you see that she's moving in or she's getting close, that's when Bone needs to react to her positioning. Or your call that she's looking for barrage or not looking for this. She's barraging right now. Okay, there's the difference. She's looking for a barrage, she's probably out here. She's barraging right now, she's down here, like ready to use it. Okay, so make sure you differentiate that. Okay, so again, we're holding this corner, which is fine. Later on, you would hold this corner, which is again just shutting down your McCree entirely because nobody would be here. That would be next fight. Okay, so be mindful of which corner you hold. But that's pretty much this matchup. A mistake that we make later on. Another thing we do is we die here while rotating. We use speed boost, but we still die here. That's not really a mistake actually. They use monkey ult for it. But relatively everything else is fine. All these mistakes that we make here, everything that we talked about, I need you guys to remember them. And next time we run into this matchup, I don't want to see any of this.
For our rotation, is it like, should we go to like the first door in front of the point instead of the side so we can't get booped off? Like from the mega, or
so it's kind of a trade-off. Let me take it back. Okay, so let's imagine that we're coming from this side, okay? If we run in like into this, it's faster and they have less spam to deal on you, right? If you take this, they have less opportunities to boot you off. Okay, so it depends on what you think is the bigger problem. If they have a monkey ult, then take the main one, tank the spam, right?
Right.
If they have if they don't have a monkey ult and the only thing that boots you is the fire rockets and the boot like Lucio boot, then you can just kind of play off of that with your Ryan Shu. You don't need to worry about like boost too much. Generally speaking, you can kind of rotate like this as well. You know, kind of have like an arching way, so that you kind of swerve a little bit. So you can avoid the boops with good movement, honestly. So that's like the coast entrance is fine. It's not like too bad.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Next matchup. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Okay. So the only difference that we have against their team so far is the Orisa, right? So the D.Va. What does that mean?
It means we have less mobility, so you kind of have to stay in one spot when we pick our spot with the Orisa shield.
Yes, that's very good. Okay. Less mobility, so you kind of want to bunker up. Okay. What else? That also means that you can't like play high ground. They would have high ground control, generally speaking. So you don't want to play around high ground. You know what I mean? Like for example, you don't want to play here for too long. Because if the D.Va gets above you, then you won't be. It's easy to get overwhelmed. Right?
Yeah.
So keep those things in mind.
Off angles too. They could take more off angles because the D.Va's 3-second cooldown.
Yes.
They can protect their Ryan more.
100%. Now, McCoy, I want you to pay attention to this very, very clearly. Your shield decides where we play. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I should have said something, but I wanted Pone. I should have said this. I wanted Pone to like tell me like where he wants to go, so that I don't waste my Orisa shield and like because.
Well, it's his job to tell you like where we want to take a fight.
Yeah,
but
that's what I meant.
You should be smart enough to put the shields in the right positions. What I've been seeing you do, and I'll point this out later on. Our shields like are somewhere mid our rotation. So let's say if we call a rotation like we want to go here, right? We would shield somewhere here, and that's like in the middle of nowhere, you know. And that's the anchor that we have.
Yeah.
Like that's literally the anchor that we have with our ship. Wherever you put your shield, your Reinhardt is just basically tethered to it. Every time he leaves the shield, he's vulnerable. Like it's just terrible for him. Remember older comp, what we decided is you're running into another team, you place an aggressive shield, and your Reinhardt goes in here and starts swinging.
Yep.
Right, so it's kind of like that. Now, you're shielding here right now. I don't know if you can see the animation or not. What's wrong with it?
It's just not useful because we can't actually
Right.
like do anything with it.
Yeah, it's like a tiny little platform, right? You can't stack up on this, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but our plan in this case should be we play one corner until the point unlocks, and when the point unlocks, we bunker up in another corner, like a little forward or something, right? And then we play off of our main wall, right? That looks like the smartest thing for us to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we bunker up here, we don't really have anything. We're just taking like all the spam damage, like add the rockets to it as well, and just like losing our shields before we have to take the points. So it's kind of a terrible way to play. But yeah, mind your shields a little bit.
Are you shielding?
Come on.
Pulling diva, pulling diva. Oh shit! I got pooped up. I got pooped up. Yeah. Group.
Okay. No, I don't know if you had the comms up or not. Again, this is the flooding that I don't want you to do. So if you're not IGLing now, the things that would go away is I got booped off. Okay, let me actually play this again.
Yeah, man.
I use shield, right?
Pulling diva. Oh shit! I got pooped up. Yeah.
Notice how there have been 0 target calls right now. And the reason isn't because people don't want to target call, it's just there's no room to target call, right? Because you're calling all this information, right? Like I said before, avoid useless information, avoid information that's not important, okay? Something about comms, and this is for everyone. There is a pattern in how comms work, okay? How the game works, okay? Imagine this is your timeline, okay? The yellow point would be when a fight begins. Okay. Every point before, okay, this is where you take the LOS of the team, right? Let's say if you're coming in from spawn, right? This red point would be the part when you first see them, right? From red to yellow, the calls that matter the most are information calls, okay? Because they tell you how to attack. Okay, kind of move like this. Right, this is the priority, right? So far, all the information calls that you give help you win the game, right? As soon as you hit this fighting point, right? Yellow is the fighting point. That's when the fight begins. Your information calls like value, it plummets. And that's when you want to start making action calls. Okay, what are action calls?
Group on the right side of point. Everybody go on the Reinhardt.
Yes.
Stuff like
So
that.
target calls are a good example. Movement calls are a good example. So action calls kind of just skyrocket here at this point. As soon as the fight begins, they skyrocket a little bit earlier. Okay, so the pink is the action calls, and the green is the info calls. Okay, and as soon as the fight goes in the middle, your info calls become again important. Right after you get a pick or after you establish your positioning, your info calls become like more important again, and then the fight ends somewhere around here at the end. Okay, so you kind of want to have this balance. Does this graph make sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so keep this in mind. Every time we start a fight, let the action calls happen. Okay, give room for these action calls. Cut the info calls that are useless. The only info call that takes priority in this area, in this red area, is if a Reaper is trying to ult on you or a Pharah is about to ult on you. Okay? Not a Mei ult. Okay? Not an Orisa ult. Pharah and Reaper ult. Why?
Because they have
Where
high
you-
impact and low time.
Yes, they kill you in an instant. Okay? If you don't react to them immediately, that info call is almost like an action call. Okay? Now, I'm just gonna leave this here. I'll make this graph better later on. Actually, let me take a screenshot of this. It's some garbage right now, but it will be useful. So I'm gonna post this in the strategy. But keep this in mind, right? So McCoy, especially you, I need you to work on this because, like, you know how you have an IGL personality, right? You're
Yeah.
gonna have to like adjust that a little bit because all the calls that you give, like they attract so much attention, which is a good thing if you can work on calling the right things at the right time.
Up,
I love glooms actually. I used to get like really freaked out about it, but I love your target calls, honestly. So like as soon as I think you should do this. As soon as the target is called, I want you to start like echoing it. And make sure you can break, you know, when the target is not in range. Remember how we want to say that leave her or leave him, right? So make sure you can put a break at the right time. But otherwise, if you can work on your target calls like that, you know, just echo and then break at the right time, your comms are like super, super fucking valuable.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so back to the match now. You'll clean this up, you win this fight. Not because you decided or you took the fight well, it's just well, they took it badly. They could have rushed you here or they could have rushed you here when you were dropping down, but they didn't play it well. So we clean up. We go next fight. Now, this is the matchup that we're gonna run into more often. And
Free. Now they have now.
this is what we talked about earlier, right? Your comp is still stronger against them. Granted, you play at the right places. Right? We're holding right now here, right? The thing that we talked about, they have a diva. She can take this angle. Not that she does, but if she can take this angle, their comp is stronger, right? Because they have this off angle and a high ground advantage that you can't do anything about, right? Second thing, their Reaper and your McCree are essentially the same for the first 2 or 3 seconds of the fight. Okay, so you don't want to take long fights. Okay, in the 2 or 3 seconds that you have, you want to take a massive advantage over them. Okay, so you can play it like a brawl. Now, the thing that we talked about your comp is it's malleable, it's versatile. Now you have the option to contest them here a little bit and then fall back and then contest them again on the point. Right, you have that option, whereas if you were running the brawl comp, you won't have that option, right? Right now we're playing like the brawl comp, which is fine, but you don't need to. Okay, if you do fall back, then your McCree gets a little more windows to kill. So you have that advantage. When you kite, you have this advantage where your McCree is useful and their Reaper is not. Okay. Now, again, try to pay attention to the comps. Do we understand the matchup now? Do we understand everything about it? Okay, that's good. So again, you have the option to play like a brawl. Now, I want you to make this call. I think you're the right person to do it. I want you to make this call. Do we brawl here? Or
No, we wait for them to come to us because we don't have mobility.
oh, we have Lucy. Oh, we don't have Lucille. We have Lucille.
No,
Your
I mean,
mobility and theirs is the same.
we have point control, so we just want them to come to us, and then we can brawl them there with our rescue.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. No, I just mean like generally speaking.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about this whatever's in back. But you're right. That we can fall back if you want, and that will give you an advantage. But I want you to make this decision. If you want to take a brawl fight, you know, let's just say that you think that a brawl fight is the right call in that situation. Call that we want to brawl here. Okay. And if you want to fall back, then I wouldn't say. What do you think will be the right call here? Do you think we should call a kite or we should call like something else? Like we should call
Like
fall
a-
back. Because I feel like when we call kite, Dark Horse would turn around and stop shooting at them.
I would say kite
Same
because
thing.
the Reaper has value on those corners right there.
Yeah, we need ults, so definitely just kite.
Okay, fair. All right, so we kind of want to play on point, all right? So, like, Pwn, again, I want you to make these calls, right? Call the
Right.
play style that we wanting to play. Call brawl or call kite. That's all new. Remember the two ways that we play. So you're right. In this situation, yeah, the alt economy and stuff, and we have McCree. So it's better to just pressure them a little bit here and then fall back. McCoy, there's a little counter calling that goes on here, and we'll discuss
Yeah, they
why
only
that's
have gonna have
bad.
cold bomb.
I want you to listen to it first, okay? Pay attention to the comps.
Refocus the Rhine, okay?
Okay, sorry, I just spoke over it.
I think they have a Kree. No, they
Yeah.
have no. Yeah, they only gonna have cold bomb.
We get better range. Refocus the Rhine, okay?
Hold on, I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
No, Kree focuses Rhine. Kree focuses Rhine, and you can wall him off too.
Your maid's not there. Your maid's not there. Your maid's
Yeah,
not there.
we're
Oop.
They're walking right. They're walking right.
Okay, I'm here. I'm here.
Can we meet him? Can we meet him?
They walled.
Meet him, meet him, meet him, meet him, meet him.
Hit him with
Behind,
the
behind,
five.
behind.
So you see the problem here, right?
Yeah, we're split.
Yeah. So originally we have better range, right? And we focus the Rhine. Now, mind you, this is also bad on you, Bill, that you don't specify how we want to play. Like we want to play point, we want to play far back. Well, let them come to us or whatever, right? We don't call that. No. Counter calling is the bigger problem. This is why you see this is why you see McCoy alone here and the rest of the team here. Right. This is what counter calling does. Because your team doesn't know who to listen to. Counter calling is when one plan is made and you decide to say that that's not a good plan and call something else. Okay. Now, not saying that's terrible. Like, let's say if someone plans to jump off the map, that's not a good plan. You probably want to counter call that. But this is something that we discussed a long time ago as well, like when the team was forming. And this team, like most other teams that are good, we keep counter calling to an absolute minimum. Like what was the percentage? Was some 99% of the time, whatever the IGL calls, we follow it. Okay. And if you have the time, let's say they're not going to attack for the next 10 seconds, suggest something different if you can. Maybe enhance the plan a little bit. It's usually what you want to do. But we don't absolutely counter call. Okay. Now, the reason for that is when the first call is made, half of your team, more than half of your team would set up with their positioning for the first call. And when you make a counter call, right, it takes time to change the positioning for that. Now, you are an Orisa, right? And he's a Reinhardt, right? Imagine that you called to play here and he counter called you to rotate here, right? You'll leave your shield here, right? Your shield would just stay here. You would not have an Orisa shield for the fight. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's setup that comes with every call. People react to calls immediately. It's not like we made a call here and in the next 5 seconds we'll execute it. No, the call is made. Immediately your players would start taking positioning, start using their cooldowns, getting ready for setting up an ult, readying up their mindset. And by counter calling, you destroy all of that and demand an equally prepared response from your teams in 1 or 2 seconds time max. Okay, so we don't do counter calling, especially for plants. Okay, so I don't want you to do that. This is not just for McCoy, of course. Like we have discussed this before because it wasn't just McCoy. Every team has this problem when they form up. Okay, so generally speaking, we don't want to counter call as any player. So, for example, if Abstract says we're looking for a Mei ult here, I'm looking for a Mei ult, you should have about 1 second to say that. That's probably not a good idea. As an IGL, the only person who can counter call is an IGL. That too, like about 90% of the time max. The reason why, IGL thinks about your ult economy. Okay, not every player does. So McCree probably won't think about our ult economy. Okay, Sakura calls what ults they have. IGL thinks, okay, they have these ults, we have these ults. we probably shouldn't be using more than one ult here. Or we should probably save our Mei ult for the next fight, because that's when they have strong ults coming up. That's why IGL is the only person who can counter call if it's warranted. Okay, now I would have liked to see more gameplay here. We do make like a couple mistakes, but at least for now, I think we understand how to play. We have the right calls on how to pick our play styles as well, so I think that would be good for today. Also worked on Hanamura. And about that is basically that when you're playing Hanamura and 2CP, on the second point of 2CP, always be stupidly careful with your macro and your ult advantages. Okay, when you're attacking. Because you can't cap second point of 2CP without a very, very massive advantage before you get to the point. Okay, so all the win conditions that you have to acquire, most of them should come out before you even touch the point. Okay, those win conditions can be a massive ult advantage over the team. Let's say they have like 3 ults and we have 5 or 6, so an ult advantage of 2+, or stupidly good positioning advantage, or getting like a couple picks over them before you get to point or on the way to the point. Okay, it's gonna matter stupidly, like it matters on Hanamura a stupid amount, but generally on 2CP it matters a whole lot. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes for the game, I think. Yeah, exactly 3 minutes for the game. If you have questions, you can stay here and talk to me. We're creating a lobby. You can be a little